So, welcome back one more time. I'm Ann Sheehan with Real Property Tax Advisors. We've been doing a lot of talking here lately about planning for property tax strategies in 2021, where we will finally be able to capture the effects of the pandemic on the values of our real estate, our commercial real estate. So we've covered office buildings. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about hotels. I think hotels and retail have probably been the hardest hit. I'm not sure one over the other, but hotels have been absolutely devastated. The industry as a whole has practically ground to a halt. We represent a hotel in Los Angeles, and it's owned by a Japanese company. And they called on March the 1st and said, we're closing our hotel for 3 months. And I was like, wow, okay. And they referenced a pandemic in Asia. And since they're headquartered there, they just thought they were just going to go ahead and shut it down here and let the pandemic run its course. Well, they're still closed. And, RevPAR hit rock bottom in the history of hotels on April the 11th, as it declined 83.6%. And for those of you not in the hotel business, RevPAR is a measure, it's probably the most important metric in hotel operations and financials. It reflects demand. So if RevPAR is decreased 83.6%, there's essentially no demand at all. So there was a little bit of an uptick this summer as some of the few and the brave decided to take vacations or had necessary travel, some necessary business travel, but even they were met with limited services, a lot of do-it-yourself. Your towels were left and wrapped up in a bag. Amenities were in plastic bags. If you wanted an extra towel, they'd leave them at your door. You had to get them and hang them up. It all of a sudden, the hotel guest is performing a lot of what we used to expect from the hotel staff. So business travel has been cut to almost zero. We're seeing it not only in hotels, but all industry, travel industry, transportations, airlines, rental cars. It's really reverberated throughout the entire hospitality business, but hotels, I think, have just been decimated. When conventions started to be canceled, when was that? Probably March, April. That was pretty much a nail in the coffin for a lot of the very large mega hotels. They rely on that convention and additional services, weddings, meetings, other income to help support such large hotels. So the limited service hotels are performing a little better, but they're still not great. Their overhead's less. So, you can go to a courtyard. You won't get breakfast. You can't even pay for it. But you can get a bed and you can get a room that's been cleaned and nobody's been in there for 24 to 48 hours. And, you feel relatively safe. As of July, over 23% of all hotel loans were delinquent. We're now well into September, the end of the third quarter, and that number has, of course, risen. And the reality at the end of the day is not all of our hotels will survive, big or small, or anything in between, because the outlook hasn't changed. We still have no business travel. Nobody's going on vacation. They're trying a little here and there, but it's not enough to make the industry healthy again. They're trying to run hotels at 30, maybe 40% occupancy, and on top of that, they're having to provide a lot of extra services in terms of cleaning and making everything from the front door and the lobby and the elevators, the hallways, and your room safe for you and healthy for you. It's a huge order, and it comes at a huge cost on top of what you're already paying in operating expenses, one of which is property tax. And then you still have a mortgage probably on top of that. I said before, it's a lot of do-it-yourself for guests. If you want to go work out, you need to make an appointment. If you want to swim in the pool, you make an appointment and you get an allotted time period. It's just really not what we as Americans, whether we're on business travel or pleasure travel, we just don't expect that. We're not expecting to do the heavy lifting, but we are. That's how it's changed. So from a property tax perspective, again, you have the fundamentals, you have the financial impact. You know, we need to keep incredible records because for the 2021 tax year, we'll have 9 months worth of data from the pandemic, and we'll be able to pinpoint and prove that this was all caused by a global pandemic. This was nothing to do with the property. And that, of course, if you all know me, is the definition of external obsolescence. And external obsolescence has hit everybody. Again, the assessors are going to try to protect their roles because property tax is how the jurisdiction pays its operating expense. So that's its revenue. So we now have, you know, it's become a little bit more of a dance, one that we haven't seen in a very, very, very long time. But every side, you know, is positioning. So I think we're going to need to go ahead and file appeals on everything based on fundamentals, but also we'll need information from our clients, our owners, so that we can document further the negative impact of the pandemic to your hotel itself. And honestly, I can't think of a hotel that hasn't been affected. Some are doing a little bit better, some are doing a little bit worse, but everybody's been affected. This pandemic has not been exclusive. It's been very inclusive, and it's even gotten the jurisdictions. So we're all in this together, and everybody has a position. The other thing I want to consider is the fact that, you know, most properties that they, like retail, if a retail property has become vacant or a mall, they actually maybe have an option for an adaptive reuse. And I'm thinking about some malls in the Midwest that were acquired by Amazon to be used as fulfillment centers. They're big, you know, they've got a lot of space, they've got a lot of parking. It's a great alternative or readaptive use, whatever you want to call it. When you think about hotels as an adaptive reuse, everybody thinks apartments, which I think until now was probably a very good adaptive reuse. However, with apartments, we have the same problem as a hotel. You know, we can't social distance. You have to make your tenants feel well and safe. And we have elevators. I haven't even talked about elevators with hotels. You know, in the big hotels, we have to use elevators to go from, you know, floor to floor. There are no other options. Well, you know, you have a 240 room hotel that moves however many thousands of people a day. And let's say you have 24 elevator banks. You can't add more elevators. So something's got to give. Thanks for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. We've covered offices and now hotels. Feel free to go back to earlier vlogs for some of the strategies that I suggest. And I think next time we will take up retail. And I hope you'll be here with me and help us strategize for Property Tax 2021. Thank you.